Ladies and gentlemen, absence is often misunderstood. We live in a culture that glorifies constant connection, immediate responses, and being perpetually on. It's as if stepping away for even a moment is equated with being forgotten, losing relevance, or somehow falling short. But the truth is, absence is not the enemy. Absence, when embraced with intention, is a profound and beautiful force. Think about a piece of music. What makes it moving and memorable isn't just the notes themselves, it's the pauses, the spaces between the notes. It's the breath that allows the melody to unfold. Without those spaces, the music would lose its rhythm and impact. The same is true for relationships, for moments of connection, and for life itself. When we are constantly present, constantly giving, and constantly showing up, we unintentionally rob others of the chance to reflect on what we truly mean to them. Familiarity, as they say, can sometimes breed complacency. But absence creates the kind of longing that sparks appreciation. It's in our absence that people begin to notice the small things they might have taken for granted: the sound of our laughter, the comfort of our words, the steadiness of our presence. Absence doesn't diminish love or connection, it amplifies it. It creates room for gratitude to grow. When we step back, we allow the people in our lives to see us with fresh eyes. They have the opportunity to feel the weight of our presence by experiencing the lightness of our absence. But this isn't just about others. Absence is a gift to ourselves, too. When we step away, we reconnect with who we are outside of what we give to others. It's in the quiet moments, in the stillness of absence, that we hear our own thoughts more clearly. We remember our dreams, our needs, and our worth. The beauty of absence lies in its paradox. It is both a letting go and an invitation. When we allow ourselves to step back, we are inviting deeper connection, not just with others, but also with ourselves. It's in the space we create that we truly begin to see and be seen. So embrace the beauty of absence. Don't fear stepping back. Don't fear the silence it might bring. Instead, trust that in that silence, appreciation will bloom. Trust that in your absence, your presence will carry even greater meaning. Self-worth first self-worth isn't something we achieve when others recognize our value. It's something we carry within ourselves, independent of external validation. Yet, in a world that often measures worth by how much we do for others, how available we are, or how much we sacrifice, it can be easy to lose sight of our intrinsic value. We've all been there, haven't we? The late night text you feel obligated to respond to, even though you're exhausted. The favor you agree to, despite knowing it will stretch you too thin. The endless yes that chips away at your time, energy, and peace. It often feels like the more we give, the more valuable will value appear to others. But here's the truth. When you base your worth on how much you give, you put yourself on a never-ending treadmill of overextension and burnout. Putting your self-worth first isn't selfish, it's foundational. Think about it this way. If you're constantly giving from an empty cup, what are you really offering? A drained version of yourself, a presence that's there but not fully alive. When you value yourself first, you're ensuring that the people who matter to you get the best version of you, not the version that's running on fumes. But putting yourself first doesn't mean shutting people out or saying no to everything. It means pausing to check in with yourself before you respond to a demand or request. It means asking, do I have the capacity to give right now? Is this in alignment with what I truly want or need? It's about setting boundaries not to push others away, but to create a healthier, more sustainable way of showing up. Here's the magic of self-worth. When you carry it with you, it changes the way people respond to you. You no longer have to overcompensate or prove your value. Your energy speaks for itself. You begin to attract relationships and opportunities that align with the respect you've cultivated for yourself. And you know what? The people who truly value you will honor those boundaries and respect the space you need. But self-worth doesn't just shape how others see you, it transforms how you see yourself. It's in those quiet moments when you choose yourself over obligation that you realize you are enough, exactly as you are. You're not defined by how much you do for others. You're not defined by how accessible or agreeable you are. Your worth is inherent. It's not something you have to earn. Putting self-worth first is an act of courage. It's choosing to believe that you don't have to give all of yourself away to be loved, valued, or seen. It's recognizing that you can show up fully for others only when you first show up fully for yourself. So take a step back when you need to. Say no when it feels right. Choose rest over constant doing. And remember this, when you prioritize your self-worth, you're not just serving yourself, you're creating stronger, healthier, and more authentic connections with the world around you. And that, my friend, is a gift worth giving. Boundaries as love, we don't often think of boundaries as love. In fact, many of us are conditioned to believe that saying no, setting limits, or stepping away means we're being selfish, unkind, or distant. But what if I told you that boundaries are one of the most profound ways we can show love to ourselves and to others? Let's start with what boundaries really are. Boundaries aren't walls meant to keep people out. They're not barriers designed to punish or isolate. Boundaries are bridges. They define where you end and someone else begins. They're an expression of respect, respect for your own needs and respect for the relationships you care about. Think about it. Love without boundaries can easily turn into resentment. When we say yes to everything, even when we want to say no, we start to feel depleted, overwhelmed, and even invisible. That kind of giving doesn't come from a place of joy. It comes from a place of obligation. And over time, it chips away at the authenticity of our connections. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I value this relationship enough to make sure it's healthy. You're choosing honesty over resentment, clarity over confusion. You're saying, this is how I can show up for you without losing myself in the process. But boundaries aren't just about protecting your energy. They're about teaching others how to love and respect you. When you establish clear boundaries, you're giving people a roadmap to what matters to you, what you need, and how they can be part of your life in a way that feels good for both of you. It's not a rejection, it's an invitation to a deeper, more respectful connection. Let's not ignore the fact that setting boundaries is hard. It can feel uncomfortable, especially if you've spent much of your life being a people pleaser or prioritizing others' needs over your own. You might worry about being seen as difficult or fear that someone will walk away if you say no. But here's the thing, the people who truly value you will honor your boundaries. And the relationships that fall away because of your boundaries, they were never built on mutual respect to begin with. Boundaries are also a way of loving yourself. They're a declaration that you are worthy of rest, of space, of saying no without guilt. They're a reminder that your needs are just as valid as anyone else's. By setting boundaries, you're not just protecting your time and energy, you're affirming your worth. And let's not forget that boundaries teach by example. When you set and honor your own boundaries, you give others permission to do the same. You create a culture of respect and authenticity where everyone feels empowered to show up as their truest selves. That's the kind of love that sustains and nurtures rather than depletes. So the next time you feel hesitant about setting a boundary, remind yourself, this is love in action. It's love for yourself, for your well-being, and for the people in your life. It's choosing honesty over overextension, authenticity over resentment, and connection over obligation. Boundaries aren't just a necessity, they're a gift. They allow you to love freely, deeply, and without losing yourself in the process. And that kind of love, that's the kind that lasts. Quality over quantity, we live in a world that often equates more with better. More followers, more friends, more connections, more meetings, more soulmates, as if quantity has become the ultimate measure of success and value. But the truth is, the depth of your life is not measured by how much you do or how many people surround you. It's defined by the quality of the moments, relationships, and connections that truly matter. Let's start with relationships. Social media has given us this illusion that having thousands of friends or followers means we're connected. But how many of those connections are real? How many of those people know you the real you? How many would notice if you didn't show up for a week, a month, or a year? True connection doesn't come from the number of people you know. It comes from the depth of the relationships you nurture. Think about the people in your life who truly matter, the ones who see you on your best days and your worst. the ones who don't just share your joys but stand beside you in your struggles. Those are the relationships worth pouring into. Those are the connections that add richness and meaning to your life. And nurturing them requires quality time spent fully present, conversations that go beyond the surface, and moments that leave you feeling seen and understood. The same principle applies to how we spend our time. We're told to hustle harder, do more, and pack every second with activity. But are we truly living, or just existing in a blur of busyness? The quantity of hours we work or the number of tasks we check off doesn't define the value of our days. What matters is the quality of the moments we create, the moments when we pause to breathe, to laugh, to reflect, and to connect with ourselves and others. Quality over quantity is also about learning to say no. When we try to do everything, we spread ourselves too thin. We show up in pieces instead of as our whole selves. But when we choose to focus on what truly matters, whether it's a relationship, a project, or even just a quiet moment for ourselves, we show up with intention. And that intention creates impact. Here's another truth. Quantity can feel safe. It can give us a sense of accomplishment or importance, but quality asks us to be vulnerable. It asks us to slow down, to choose wisely, and to show up fully. It's not about how much you do or how many people you please. It's about showing up in ways that are meaningful and authentic. In choosing quality over quantity, you're not choosing less, you're choosing more. More depth, more meaning, more connection. You're choosing to pour your time, energy, and love into the things that truly matter, instead of scattering them across things that don't. So let go of the pressure to do it all or to be everything for everyone. Choose fewer but richer moments, fewer but deeper connections, fewer but more meaningful pursuits. Life isn't about how much you cram into it. It's about the richness of the moments that take your breath away. Because at the end of the day, no one will remember how many things you accomplished or how many people you knew. What they'll remember is how you made them feel, the way you showed up, and the impact of your presence. And that, my friend, is the beauty of quality over quantity. Power in silence. It's a word that often makes people uncomfortable. In a world filled with noise, constant notifications, and endless chatter, silence can feel foreign, even unsettling. We've been conditioned to believe that noise equals productivity, that speaking equals power, and that filling every space with words or sound means connection. But the truth is, silence holds a power that noise never can. Silence isn't empty, it's full. It's a space of reflection, clarity, and connection. It's the pause that allows us to listen, not just to others, but to ourselves. In the stillness of silence, we discover truths that are drowned out by the chaos of everyday life. Let's talk about listening. In our eagerness to respond, defend, or make our point, we often forget the value of truly listening. But silence is the key to listening deeply. When we quiet our minds and resist the urge to fill every gap with words, we create space for others to be heard. We're not just waiting for our turn to speak, we're fully present. And in that presence, something magical happens, connection deepens. People feel seen, valued, and understood. Silence also has the power to communicate more than words ever could. Think about the silence that follows an emotional moment between two people, the kind of silence that speaks volumes without a single word. Or the quiet strength of someone who doesn't react immediately in anger or frustration, but instead takes a breath, reflects, and responds with intention. Silence doesn't mean weakness or passivity. It's an active choice, a deliberate pause that holds immense power. Then there's the silence we give ourselves. In the constant noise of modern life, when was the last time you allowed yourself to sit in silence? Not scrolling through your phone, not checking off tasks, but simply sitting with yourself. Silence isn't a void, it's a mirror. It reflects back to us what we're feeling, what we're avoiding, and what we truly need. It's in silence that we can hear the whispers of our own intuition, the truths that get lost in the din of external opinions. Silence is also a form of strength. It takes courage to hold your tongue when every part of you wants to speak. It takes wisdom to understand that not every moment needs a response and that sometimes silence is the best answer. In moments of conflict, silence can be disarming. It can break cycles of negativity and create space for understanding. In relationships, silence can create longing. When we're always speaking, always available, always filling the space, we leave no room for reflection. But when we allow for silence, we give others the chance to miss us, to appreciate our presence in its absence. Silence, in this way, isn't a withdrawal, it's a gift. And let's not forget the power of silence in creativity. Some of the most brilliant ideas, solutions, and breakthroughs come in moments of quiet. It's when we step away from the noise that inspiration has room to breathe. Silence is fertile ground for imagination and clarity. It allows the mind to wander, to process, and to dream. Yet silence can feel uncomfortable. We've been taught to associate it with awkwardness or isolation. But if we can learn to sit with silence, to embrace it rather than resist it, we unlock its transformative power. Silence isn't absence, it's presence. It's a chance to be fully in the moment, to hear what's truly being said, and to connect with what matters most. So, don't fear silence. Welcome it. Use it. In the pauses, the stillness, and the quiet moments, you'll find strength, clarity, and connection that no amount of noise can provide. There's immense power in silence. It's where we find ourselves, where we deepen our connections with others, and where the most meaningful moments of life reside. Silence doesn't demand your attention, it invites it. And when you accept that invitation, you'll discover that silence doesn't just fill the gaps, it transforms them. The gift of longing is a deeply human experience, yet it's one we rarely talk about openly. In a world that prioritizes immediacy, convenience, and instant gratification, the idea of longing feels almost outdated. Why wait when you can have what you want now? Why miss someone when you can call, text, or video chat them at any time? But longing, when we allow ourselves to feel it fully, is a gift, a profound reminder of connection, appreciation, and the beauty of absence. Think about the relationships that matter most to you. When was the last time you truly missed someone? Not in the fleeting way we might say, I miss you, but in a way that stirs your heart and reminds you of the depth of your bond. Longing arises in the spaces between connection, in the moments of distance when we're unable to touch, see, or be with those we care about. It's a signal, not of weakness or sadness, but of love. In their absence, we notice the little things we might take for granted: their laughter, the way they listen, the comfort of their presence. It's in longing that we find appreciation, not just for who they are, but for the role they play in our lives. There's something deeply humbling about longing. It strips away the superficial and brings us back to the heart of connection. When we allow ourselves to feel it, we realize just how much we need and cherish those who matter to us. It's not about dependence, it's about recognizing the richness that others bring into our lives. Longing also teaches us patience. In a world that moves at breakneck speed, longing forces us to slow down. It reminds us that not everything can or should be immediate. There's beauty in waiting, in allowing desire and appreciation to build over time. When we finally reunite with the person or thing we've longed for, the experience is all the sweeter because of the time and space that preceded it. There's also a certain vulnerability in longing. To long for someone or something is to admit that you care deeply, that your life feels different in their absence. It's an acknowledgement of your humanity, of the threads of connection that bind us all. And in that vulnerability, there's strength. To long for something is to honor its importance in your life, to give it the weight and meaning it deserves. Longing, too, is a creative force. It stirs the imagination, inviting us to dream, hope, and anticipate. It allows us to envision the moments we'll share again, the conversations we'll have, the laughter we'll exchange. It's not just about missing, it's about holding space for what's to come, for the beauty of reunion and the deepening of connection.